We're proud to have linked up with Tracksmith for this episode of Podium. Tracksmith is the New England running brand which produces what we think is some of the highest quality running gear you can get. Its third running shoe has just been released, a trail shoe called the Elliott Range. There's also the Elliott Runner for everyday miles. But I love the Elliott Racer, a lightweight carbon fiber shoe I've been using over the past few months. I've mostly been using them for 5K park runs and sessions and seeing the results too. So see for yourself what the fuss is all about and give them a try. Head to tracksmith.com and get 20% off your first order by using the code PODIUM20, all one word and spelled like Podium, Podium, and enter that at checkout. Details are also in the show notes.
We are so grateful to Maurten for their sponsorship of this podcast since day one. When I was an athlete, it was hard to find a carbohydrate drink that would give you anywhere near the fuel you needed for a long run or in a palatable format. And when it came to using bicarb, it was hard to find a trusted source, let alone one that provided a user-friendly pre-mixed product like Maurten do with their bicarb system. And most importantly for race day, a bicarb product that doesn't cause stomach issues. I can only dream of such luxury. To find out more about the bicarb system, listen back to our interview with Andy Sparks in July. And to see how gels and drink mixes can benefit your road training, head to maurten.com. And listeners can make the most of a one-time 15% discount code by entering Podium15 at checkout until the end of 2025.
Hello and welcome to the end of day 3 here at the World Athletics Championships. You're with Podium Athletics Podlet edition. Are we on number 3 or number 4 technically if we did a sort of preview?
Depends whether you count day 0.
Yeah,
4 technically.
Yeah, 4 technically.
The first one really was just a bit of a throwaway.
I mean, the point I'm making is that I cannot believe it's only day 3.
Well,
wrecked.
We've made it through to the end of what was a bit of an intimidating stint of morning and evening sessions, and now I feel like I'm suddenly not that tired anymore.
Really?
Like a little another. Well,
it's because you've got beers in sight.
Yeah, we just come out from that stadium, which was just electric, and we've just been commentating on Mondo Duplantis setting another world record. So I think that's probably part of it, to be honest.
So our clock is on, 19 minutes to go. Good snappy intro. Obviously, that's where we're going to start then. Let's talk about Mondo Duplantis' 14th world record. Now he is over 6 meters and 30 centimeters, which I don't know, somehow that feels like another kind of marker point somehow. So obviously got the gold medal. Rich, you were commentating on this one in detail, so do you want to guide us through the competition and how close everyone else got?
Well, obviously no one got close. That's the first point. I mean, the 1, 2, 3 is Duplantis, obviously 6:30. Manolo Caradis was second with 6 meters, and Curtis Marshall, who got bronze just like he did 2 years ago, but this time it's an outright bronze, so he doesn't have to share it with anyone else like he did with Chris Nielsen 2 years ago. But the story really was the fact that there was lots of sort of last chances that the vaulters had, and they kept on coming through, so it just extended the competition, which is why one of the reasons why we ended up having a really late finish. So we've actually finished the pole vault like half an hour after the last track event, I think, but really impressed with how many people stayed. Pretty much the entire stadium, I'd say. Maybe a couple of thousand less, but pretty much everyone was there expectant that Mondo Duplantis was going to do something. Now in terms of the competition itself, Corrales, he didn't have his best day, but what was impressive is that he kept on pushing the limits. So what Corrales kept on doing was he's playing this game with Duplantis now that he is a 6:08 jumper. He can push Mondo to go a little bit further. Now, Mondo Duplantis has never had to do one of these world records before, where he's had to go all the way up to 6:15 and then go for a world record. So that was my only doubt. How much energy has he lost from doing that? Because that is a whole new ball game, right? Because usually he taps out about 6 meters, 6:05, and then he goes for the world record. He's got all that energy built up, and then he really built the tension, and obviously all eyes on him. Third attempt, cleared it, and he can glide through the air like something. Just watching him is incredible. But I think actually the way he achieved that world record, the technique he used was deliberate. So in every single one of the attempts, he touches on the way down the bar with his knee, and then he grazes the top of his thigh, almost to say, I know I'm going to have to touch this bar, but I'm going to have to make sure I keep it on as well. So every single one of them is the same but slightly different, and he perfected it on the last one. I don't think that was a mistake. Maybe it was, but it felt like it was deliberate. I said in commentary at the end, so I was saying to you guys earlier on, what do you say about Mondo Duplantis when he puts another centimetre on? I just says, at the moment we don't know what the limit is, right? What is the limit? At the moment, we don't really care. We're just enjoying seeing what it is at the moment.
No, just being along for the ride. And I think the one thing I think when I watch Duplantis, it's just the mastery and the fact that he makes it look easy, and he does it time and time and time again. And it's just lovely, and to watch the joy from the men around him as well. Like that just shows it's so genuine. It's so genuine. And so to watch someone reaching their physical limits, being celebrated by those around him, and pulling them up as well. It's just lovely, and I think and it makes a great spectacle on telly, but it's another level in person. And for Duplantis to tour around the world, giving people the experience he gave tonight, like that, it's just so good for our sport.
And he really made sure as well that at the end he did go to every corner. To everyone that had stayed, he went to go and say thank you to them, basically.
I also think he's notched it up now in terms of like global presence, i.e. BBC have been writing build-up articles about him all week. The British press is where I follow most of my news. They were doing live updates tonight with automatic things popping up on my phone saying he's going for the world record. And it just feels as though we talk so much about the post-Usain Bolt era and how to save the sport and who are the characters. And I think for a while he was being forced into that frame, and now
he occupies that space.
He
for sure.
just completely does.
Yeah, no, I don't know who you can say comes close to that. I guess probably just on the top of my head, it's Noah Lyles. But he doesn't come close to what Duplantis is achieving. So he can have the character, that's fine, and he's got the titles, that's good. But Mondo Duplantis has got 14 world records and counting, it feels like, as well. He's got the three-peat, the third world title, and there's just no stopping him, and we're just enjoying the ride.
I would just say the only questionable thing about that entire evening regarding Mondo was the horrible ABBA remix that they were playing in between his world record attempts, where there was nothing else.
Maybe it worked.
Well, there was nothing else going on in the stadium, and clearly the announcers, I think, were like, "What do we do with the crowd here?" Because they would just go quiet for 5 minutes while he recovered.
Run out of a playlist. I mean,
well, the answer was apparently this horrible version. They left the actual ABBA until he'd completed the world record. I was like, this
maybe
is not okay.
Maybe Jeff Whiteman was actually on the mix as well. He was playing DJ.
Desperately trying to do Sweet Caroline, and they're like, anything but Sweet Caroline, Jeff. He came up with ABBA.
Until we get to the marathon, I honestly, because we had this one dedicated stream, and it lasted from the start of the session all the way through to way beyond. So I've not really seen anything apart from tiny glimpses. So you guys are going to have to guide us through.
Yeah, that was a long night for you. Well, I kind of wanted to go back to the men's marathon actually, if that was all right, because we sort of done the end of the day.
I'll go home after this.
The start of the day. Unbelievable. So just to give you a flavour of how wild this ride was, started half an hour earlier because of the heat, and the heat was playing a part in conditions. We knew that was going to happen anyway. It was hot, sticky, we had some dropouts. We had a false start in the marathon. Yeah. So false start, think sort of sprinting-esque. You just don't see it in a marathon. There was absolutely no need.
From one of the favourites as well. Vincent Engetich is the one who did that.
And then, so you had a sprint-esque false start, and then you had a middle distance tear-up style finish round the track, and it was divided by what? 3 thousandths? 3/10.
Yeah.
I'm going a bit far there. 3/10 of a second.
But it's that is something you just don't see. I mean, we had 2
days.
Well,
it's the tightest marathon finish we've ever had.
In a world championship, yeah. I mean, we've seen some really close finishes before, but this was just, I mean, it was so close that I think you guys were on the integrated feed. Me and Hannah were doing the dedicated marathon feed, and I think both myself and Chris played it safe on the line. We called who we thought it was, but wouldn't go full. It's definitely that person. Because basically, the story was that Petros looked like he thought he had it won, and when he had to then go again, he just didn't have that change of pace again. And Alphonse Felix Simbu, the gold medalist in the end, just had that momentum, that forward momentum to dip on the line, and it's just an amazing way to end a marathon. Never seen anything like that in championship racing before. I mean, we came off the back of a fantastic women's marathon the night before as well, which also came down to the final 100 metres, and that's what championship racing is all about. And it all comes from the conditions. It all came from because the whole race was it was very slow, and it was a slow burn because everyone was just being picked off. The pace never moved. It was 2:10 pace the entire way. And it was just about who could live with that. And that's nothing crazy. It was within the capabilities of about 20, 25 of that field. It's just who could deal with it. And all the Ethiopians were gone by 35 kilometers-ish. Some big hitters in there. Tokyo Marathon champion in Teresa Dekele. Teresa Galetta was in there as well. He couldn't stay the course. Unfortunately, from a Great Britain point of view, Emil Keres got quite near the end. But again, heat exhaustion is what beat him in the end. It was just too much. And he told us, didn't he, that you can train for this, you can train for the heat. But in the end, the conditions were it's the humidity. It's the humidity that's around here. I was talking to someone that's from Qatar earlier on in the lift, and he was saying, we have like 50 degrees heat, but it doesn't feel like this. I can't deal with this heat, the humidity, and it just picked people off, and it just created this incredible finish. So it just led to this burn up at the end, and just wow. I don't want to. Can I just say you say it so you saw that I don't sound like I'm tooting my own horn.
Oh, that you picked. I was going to say that you picked Alphonse Felix Simbu at the start. Like you were saying to me the whole last hour, you were like, I really think this guy's going to do it. And the way you played it on air, you were firm enough on air without sort of seeming like it was an absolute, just picking it out of nowhere. It's better than your Kenny Benarek shout on the men's 100 yesterday, Katie.
Although it was a tighter finish in the marathon than it was in the men's marathon.
Well, no,
absolutely.
I think you're totally right, Rich. Like you called it from Simbu, and to be honest, I was giving you kudos for that prediction anyway. When the 5 of them were coming in with 600 to go, I was like, fair play. He has picked one of these 5, and that's pretty hard to do in a championship marathon that's so unpredictable.
Why did you pick him?
He just has good form over championship races, and he came off the Boston Marathon as second place. Again, no one was talking about him, behind John Correa.
Did you put a bet on or anything?
No, I didn't.
Oh, for God, there we go.
I don't have time to think about that. I didn't have time to even enter the media race.
Yes, we're still trying to know. Don't worry, I'm getting my late entry. Jeff, I know a guy who knows a guy. I know Jeff Whiteman who knows a guy.
I just kept on putting it off and off and off, and the deadline was meant to be today, and I tried to do it at 4 o'clock, and it was closed.
Forgot.
But final word on the men's marathon: 0.3 of a second, the margin of victory. It's less than Oblique Seville beat Kashane Thompson by. It's absolute. It's just madness.
It is real, guys. We are still awake. We're still going. Right, let's quickly go through men's 1,500 metre heats then. Big news, Hannah, is that the Olympic champion, Cole Hockett, DQ'd.
Yep, argy-bargy down the home straight from Cole Hockett.
It's as we taught, as it stands.
As it stands. The Americans have counter-appealed. But the first race was just such fine margins. And to everyone just pushing and shoving. Josh Kerr and Jake Whiteman getting through. Jake Whiteman ran wide the whole way and still looked strong in the last 50. So up, that was just brilliant from up the Brits.
And still confusing me in his white vest.
You know what's lovely, right? The whole time I've been sat on air, I've not been able to be biased and talk about the Brits. But oh my goodness, to have Jake and Josh in the same race, the last 2 world champions, and they both make it through in a totally stacked field. I was genuinely, I confidence in Josh Kerr because of what he's done in the last couple of years. But Jake is just such a nice bloke who's had such a rough ride since that win in Eugene. I was close to tears after that race, and then I had to call the next race. I thought, calm down, sit down. But it's similar. The second race was very similar, lots of carnage. And Hocker was leading it, and he made a big move with a lap to go, and that was all fine. And then he got swallowed up. And then he didn't like where he was because he was running out of space and he wasn't going to get the top 6, so he pushed his way through the middle of the pack. And I'm not judging him as a person for that. It's desperate. You're absolutely exhausted. You're fighting desperately to get into a global final. We all make decisions. But he went into a gap that wasn't there. So if people haven't seen it, what does that look like in terms of how much pushing and shoving really there
was?
There was a line of athletes in front of him, and you're going to ask me who they were. I don't know. But one was Robert Farken, the German athlete, and he'd positioned himself perfectly. Neil Gawley was still behind at this point, right on the inside. He ended up making it by thousandths. Lad.
Did he?
Yeah. Lad.
Yes.
But Cole Hocker, quite rightly, he panicked because he was running into the back of the people, and there were other athletes flying around the outside. He just thread an arm in between Farken and another athlete and pushed his way through.
So
and
naughty in the end. Really.
And it's one of these things, right? What I hate the most is when someone impacts someone else's race. And again, I don't judge Cocker personally at all because it's high stakes. But he ruined Farken's race, and Farken was in a qualifying position. Luckily, Farken has been advanced. We will have 13 men in the final.
Okay.
Like we said, the appeals are still going on. But as it stands, when we started this, Hocker DQ'd, Farken upgraded.
From what you've seen, unlikely to be successful in the counter appeal?
I don't think so yet. There was no other contact. It wasn't like someone pushed Hocker and then he had to go into Farken or anything like that. It was a desperate move, and the change of pace the Olympic champion had was brilliant. He wove through the field and then kicked and won. But he ruined Farken's race, and that for me is just not okay.
I would say let's not go through any of the other heats tonight. We've got a few
no
more
surprises
other,
really in
exactly.
everything
Okay,
else.
so
All
that's good. We can move away from that. Katie, you were on the hammer throw tonight, so tell us the story of that.
We saw a massive, monstrous effort from Cameron Rogers in the second round. No one came close to her. Most of her throws, I think, from memory, were beyond what anyone else competed that night, all around the 78-metre mark. She went over 80 metres for the first time in her career in that second round, went second on the all-time list. You could sense right from the start, I mean, she's a business face kind of athlete anyway and keeps so focused throughout all the waiting around. When they reorder through the fourth and the fifth and the sixth round, she then has to wait even longer, but she was so good. 80 metres, 51 centimetres, which of course makes it a world leading mark as well. And you just got this sense that like she knew if she was performing her best, gold was hers. She wanted that distance and the roar she let out. It's just so cool to see. I think she's got so much more in the tank as well. And I suppose that sort of sense we've had for a while now of the changing of the guard with Vladarchik, who's now the only one who's gone beyond her. And I wonder if 83 is possible.
Just quickly, sorry, I don't want to interrupt. We have breaking news.
Oh.
We have breaking news. So this has just come out. The jury has rejected the appeal of Cole Hocker to be reinstated in the 1500 metre final and have upheld the decision of the referee. That's final.
That makes a lot of sense. You just want to tie out the rest of the women's.
Yes, so really great performance from Zhao, who is the Olympic bronze medalist, personal best of over a metre to get the silver. And then Zhang, this new 18-year-old kid on the block, junior world champion, now on the senior podium as well.
Where do you want to go next?
Steeplechase. Steeplechase, absolutely bonkers event. My mate's got a 4-year-old and he had the telly on yesterday afternoon and she had the 10K on and he said, "No, mummy, the one with the puddles." And the Steeplechase is just a wonderful event, and everyone was giving the medal to Soufiane El Bakkali. He hasn't been the dominant force he had been in previous years, but the narrative was still very much he's good enough. And the race just went slower and slower. It was 3:04 for the first kilometre. I'm going to put a bet out there and say that the women's race will go faster through the first kilometre in their final. It was absolutely pedestrian, and Lemetra Girma went for it with 300 to go. And I think El Bakkali was rubbing his hands and thinking, business as usual, I'm going to sit on my Ethiopian rival. And they got to the water jump as they always do. El Bakkali had a much better water jump and he burst off the front of the pack. And little did he know that Geordie Beamish was weaving through absolutely everybody. Really calm race up until that point. Beamish nailed the last hurdle, absolutely smashed it. The momentum he took off it was just so strong, and he got past El Bakkali, and El Bakkali was devastated. It was not okay.
Complete
it was
shock.
not absolute
He's in
shock.
tears, wasn't
He's
he?
not lost anything since before Tokyo, has he?
Yeah.
He's not lost anything since 2019.
Wow.
He just looked shocked. Like he hadn't even computed that was an option. And Beamish, just cool as you like, he was the guy that fell in the heats and still got up and qualified. He just stood there and took a bow, and you're like, yes,
And
you are
and
too cool.
He's had his injury problems as well, hasn't he, since winning the world indoor title?
Yeah. And I think that's why he's barely raced this season. I want to say that's his third or fourth
what a story
steeple.
that is as well.
Yeah.
Where does that even fit in what we've seen so far in the top three? So the first 3 days, that's just mad.
I really love Rich's like unwinding in these podcasts.
You can hear my voice
when
now.
he's
I
suddenly
need a morning
like,
off.
but it's his realization when these mad things keep happening. He's like, I can't deal
I've
with
only been.
this.
I also feel like I've only been on these events so far, where they last like at least 3.5 hours. I need something that's just quickly through an hour and 20 minutes or something. But Miura as well was quite the atmosphere inside the stadium, that was actually stopping the pole vault competition, because there were some big vaults that were needed at that point, final attempts, and the athletes just couldn't settle, couldn't get the heart rate down, because what they needed to do was big enough and the atmosphere was just too loud, and they were just having to really take every single moment that they could. So I did get a glance at that bit. Got a glance at the very, very end. Didn't see any of the Albuquerque stuff. But he was in the mix for a while, wasn't he?
Yeah, no, it was just a race for the ages, and I say this every time I commentate on endurance events. If you make it go slow, it's anyone's. The more you move it towards sort of the world lead time, and you push it towards that zone, the less predictable. The more predictable it comes, the faster it is. So you leave it. What was it? I don't even know. I think it was 8:33, the winning time. Like that's some 20 seconds off what it takes to qualify for the World Championships. And that's when you get surprise results. And hats off. It was very Jimmy Gressier-esque of Geordie Beamish, and I loved it.
So where do we finish?
I just thought if we finish on the women's 100, have we still got time left?
Yes.
Gosh, we smashed that. I thought we were well over.
Yeah,
1.5
really well.
minutes. Right, women's 100 hurdles. Wow, Kambunji from the outside. Never seen that before. Just a different one this time, isn't it?
Kambunji from an outer lane, winning a world title. Very Majinga of Ditaji. Did you manage to catch that? Or were you still on there?
I literally caught I just made sure I got the last, because when you're on a dedicated feed, if you miss a vault, then you've kind of not done your job.
You got one job, literally
you can basically glance away for seconds. I got the last 20 metres. What happened with Masai Russell?
She hit the second hurdle. I think Danielle Williams hit the first. Danielle Williams, the defending champion, looked great in the semi-final, and then come the final, she hit the first hurdle, so she was out of it. And I want to say Masai Russell hit the second or the third, and then that was her race done. And your eyes were drawn to
race for Kambunji?
Yeah. And for Toby Amerson and for Grace Stark.
Okay.
And I think your eyes were drawn to Grace Stark and Toby Amerson because they were in the middle lanes. That's what you expect. And they all three of them ran fantastic races. Ditaji Kambunji, it was a personal best by 0.15.
Right,
that's a national record.
She's been in great form.
The equal seventh all time. But I just love, you don't get the emotion you get at a major championship on the circuit. You just don't. And she was shaking. She was crying. It was everything you wanted from Geordie Beamish, but he's just too cool. And it was just...
Give us more.
I'm sure he's crying and having an emotional moment with his parents downstairs.
There it is.
Time's up. But yeah, it was a great race. And I think also just a nice combination to a really unpredictable, intriguing season in the women's high hurdles, and just sets us up for more of that to come.
Absolutely. I think day 3 has been epic. I think the three of us and Chris Temple, who've all been on double sessions here for the host broadcast, are relishing the opportunity to not get up at 5:30 tomorrow morning.
Get up at 5,
leave at 5:30.
Yeah, get up at 5, leave at 5:30. There's a part of me that still thinks that that's happening tomorrow, but it's not.
No.
We can settle into these long evening sessions that are going to be really interesting. They're going to fall into a kind of time zone for friends and family at home in Britain, maybe in America. You're going to be able to watch pretty much everything that happens during the week here, and then it gets a bit chaotic with the combined events next weekend and a bit more race walk.
We're going to go and do some culture tomorrow. I thought you were
talking about the beers tonight. That's
no.
not very cultured.
No,
yes, it is. We're going to the Irish pub round the corner.
I am definitely. I told you yesterday I'm a bottle job. I'm not coming to the pub.
No, come for one at the Irish pub. The listeners will have people messaging in saying, where was she? Did she make it to the pub?
Yeah.
And what's the answer going to be, Rich?
No, she didn't.
Yeah, of course it is. Boring. Right. Off you go then. We'll see you next time. Oh,
I've got the proper sign off now. China.
Show off.
see ya.